Hi, I'm Nancy Bialik, the Executive Director of the Stag's Leap District Wine Growers Association, and welcome to Watch Our Cabernet Grow, Meet Us at the Fence. We're here in glorious Stag's Leap District, the smallest AVA, welcoming our vintners and winemakers every month to speak with each other through their fence. All the vineyards in Stag's Leap District are contiguous, meaning that everyone shares a fence line, everyone's neighbors and friends, and we want to show you how our Cabernet is growing throughout the season.
Our freshest vines here, they were replanted just last year, and checking to see how they're coming up the stake.
Exciting. So Cabernet Sauvignon, obviously, right?
It is Cabernet Sauvignon. You know, as you know, like Chimney Rock, we focus our wines around Cabernet Sauvignon based production. A lot of blends, but Cabernet is obviously our backbone. So we're just kicking off now. You know, phase one of a 10-year redevelopment. You know, as for me coming in, you know, for my family, third generation, it's important to think about what the next 50 years is going to look like for Clos Du Val, and it all starts here in the vineyards, as you know.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always exciting to see a young vineyard, you know, start to fulfill its potential, and maybe we can talk a little bit about. It's so interesting how young vines have a different focus on attention, right? So when we get to older vines, we're always thinking, you know, fruit quality, and here you're probably really focused on like root development, right?
Absolutely. The way, you know, for me, the simple way that I look at it, it's like you're a building, so you got to get the foundation right.
Yep.
And so it's all about, as you said, root stock and root establishment.
Yep.
And then assuring that you've got the right structure of your vines so that it has a good architecture to allow it to support a 30-year program.
Yeah.
You know, that's the goal.
Exactly.
So yeah, whether it's, you know, year 4 or even year 5, if that's when we expect to be able to get fruit out of it, it's about getting the establishment right.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to help support the vines produce the great quality potential that they can.
Right.
So that's similar, I assume, to how you guys think
Absolutely.
about it.
So what do you think of the beginning of this growing season so far?
Well, I think like all agriculture, climate will provide interesting changes on an annual basis. Obviously, it's been a pretty dry winter, below average rainfall. I think that following a dry 2020 season is creating some challenges, but again, I think it provides opportunity for the vineyard management teams and winemakers like yourself to think proactively about how we support the vines.
Yeah, we measured about
what you guys are doing.
So we measured about 11 inches of rain this season, and our average is about 26 on our weather station. And I think last year we got about 14. Yeah. So we're definitely on to a dry beginning. I mean, I think the well-kept secret is that in growing grapevines, we try to pretend that there's a deficit of water to produce great fruit. So in some ways, Mother Nature is helping us along in terms of quality, right? I mean, that's actually a fact as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm curious, when you think about, obviously, as you said, you want a slight sort of push and pull with the vines and their water resources. I know as we've gone into this dry season, for us, the early irrigation, just as they're waking up and making sure there's enough soil moisture to give them that pop, has been important. And then it's about navigating when to irrigate at the right time.
Yeah, we absolutely, our philosophy here in a year like this is you want to give them enough energy to get going, and then sort of cut back as you near veraison, and keep it in that kind of narrow band of stress. But early irrigation, I think, was important in a season like this, particularly for your young vines.
For the young vines is important.
Yeah.
So these young Cabernet vines, just under a year old. As you can see, we still got our protectors on for the little critters that come by. I don't know if you guys get as many
healthy. Oh my God,
rabbits
so many rabbits
right?
and gophers,
so
and it's crazy.
you gotta keep on that. That's always something, and especially as we're trying to get this vine establishment, you know, you gotta make sure you've got the right protection. I'm sure as you sit here and you're out in your vineyards on a daily basis and you're looking at this new planting, you're curious as to why we went with row orientation.
It's an interesting row orientation. I was going to ask you. Yeah, tell me about the history on that.
It is not a history based in science. It was more around practicality. So if you go just further south from this block, it's actually one of our oldest blocks today in our vineyards here in Stag's Leap district. The winemaker at the time, Bernard, he was trying to get every inch possible on the property planted, and so he was forced to change the row orientation almost 90 degrees from what it would normally be. But the output now, after 25 years of production, is it's always the block that is the most consistent and the best quality.
So why fix it?
Why fix it if it's not broken? And our winemaker today decided, why not just replicate that? And it's done us so well. It's always going into our highest end program. And
hey,
so
that's smart. You have to get to know your side and what does well. Now I'm curious, what's your typical practice with young vines? Will you use fruit at fourth leaf? Will you evaluate quality? How do you make that decision?
So quality is one. I think that the major one is vine establishment. I think we've learned from past experiences that going too early and pushing the vines to produce fruit at quality for production too early can actually stunt the vine's establishment. And
absolutely,
as you know, it's a 30-year investment, and you got to take a lot of care and love, and they'll
nurture
take
these
care of
young babies.
Right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
well, beautiful. It looks fantastic. What's your total acreage of this new development?
So this one here is just over 3.5 acres. We've planted on the north side of the Chimney Rock vineyards here.
Okay.
Some Merlot in 2019, and actually a little bit of Malbec.
Oh,
I know
fantastic! We can compare notes.
taking a peek at your beautiful Malbec vines just a moment ago. So as it's kind of like phase one, and it's all about thinking about what the next 50 years of our vineyards and our winery.
Right.
That's what I'm tasked with here to carry on the future, and it all starts here in the vineyards.
Beautiful. I'll be excited to see what kind of great fruit you grow here.
Vineyard can look like.
Yeah, so this is
these
are all 30-year-old vines of Cabernet, and as you can see from these massive, beautiful, gnarly trunks, these are really well-established plants. We're at a different stage of bloom here than we were in the Malbec too, which is interesting. So you'll see there's one flowering cluster here, but most of this is not quite flowering yet. Yeah. So this cool down we had this week, right? Like, it was weird. We thought we were on part of
early
warm
heat swell, right? And
so this cool down really kind of slowed down the bloom process. So it's, we thought it was all going to go at once, and then suddenly it was like came to a screeching halt, which is okay. I think it's good to have nice, even keeled weather for bloom, as long as we don't have extremes. I think we'll have a healthy set. So anyway, what's beautiful about these older vines, and it's young vines, as you know, like to overproduce, right? Their tendency is, I'm so full of energy, I'm going to give. Whereas when you get to a 30-year-old grapevine, they really are much more in balance. They're much lower maintenance. We don't have to do as much canopy management. We typically don't even have to thin a whole lot, especially in a drought year this. They're wiser. They preserve their energy. So these vines actually go into our Ganymede Cabernet, which is actually the Cabernet that goes into the collection.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh,
anyway,
that's
I
great
love
to
this
know.
block.
That's
I have deep affection for these vines. And I hope we keep them for at least another decade.
This is a 20+ year relationship you have with these.
It is. That's right. And then the views, of the Palisades, obviously.
I know we're fortunate.
Not too shabby.
Right?
I know. I pinch myself every day, don't you?
Not a bad place to drive in for work every day.
Yeah, totally.
I'm trying to remember when did Chimney Rock first plant these vineyards?
So our first plantings were, let's see, the Wilsons bought the property in the late 81.
Right.
So first plantings were 81. However, these were planted on AXR. So early 90s, the entire estate got replanted, the first 50 acres that had been developed. So as I think was the case in most of Napa Valley. Now, when were your first grapevines planted?
First grapevines were planted in 72.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
And then similarly, we had to go through
Replant,
redevelopment in 90, in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So
Did you keep any of those 70s vines, or?
No, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, it had phylloxera. You got to pull it out.
It wiped us out. But
yeah.
So it's just exciting to see now that this is the third round of redevelopment, and we want to make sure we're taking everything into account, as you know.
Yeah.
Technology and the information that we have today, whether it's about climate or soils, is so strong that
absolutely
we want to make sure that we do the absolute utmost best to get the best quality potential out.
How old are your oldest vines on the property now?
Do the
probably
math.
About the same as
ours,
ours,
I think they're
right?
about 26, 27 years old.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I think that's right.
And producing pretty great fruit, I imagine. Yeah.
Still strong quality.
Yeah, that's great.
Some blocks are just exceptional quality. Some we've had some red blotch.
Yeah.
And so that's accelerated a bit the time frame around redevelopment.
Yeah.
But you have to tackle that before.
Yeah, we had some red blotch. We had to, and we think this was stuff that we planted in 2002. We think it came from the nursery, so we've replanted that. It was before we were even testing for it.
Yeah.
So, but got to keep that stuff under control, right?
It is.
It's very humbling business.
That's why I always say agriculture, it's a labor of love. You really got to sink your teeth into it, because there's always unknown variables that come your way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like it, Every day is different. Every year is different. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I wouldn't either. That's what I love about it.